Do you believe that the government mandates the vaccine on the free people? Do you believe that preempts the sincerity of religious beliefs or the right of privacy?
I don't believe it trumps the right to sincerely have religious beliefs if someone can make a bona fide case for that. No, I don't think.
What is a bona fide case?
That's not, again, I'd have to lawyer up on that. Senator. I'm sorry, there are standards. There are standards.
Hold on just a second, Mr. Zook.
I'm sorry.
Hold on just a second. This is why I mentioned before we started, I know some of you will be emotional. This is a legislative meeting. It is a business meeting. There will be nothing from the audience. If you cannot abide by that, this is the time to go through those doors. I hope everybody understands me. Okay, Mr. Zook, you can proceed.
Do you believe an employee has a constitutional right over the employer to exercise his constitutional rights, wherever he's employed in the United States?
No, I think the employer has the right to establish the terms.
So you're saying the employer, whatever the employer wishes are, preempts the constitutional rights of an individual working?
I don't think we're talking about constitutional rights here. Not with the vaccine.
We're talking about the First Amendment and the religious freedom that's listed in the Bill of Rights.
There's an accommodation for sincerely held religious beliefs. There's a process.
If those exemptions are honored. Mr. Brown, how many, you said there's 24,000 employees with titles?
In the state of Arkansas, sir.
State of Arkansas, how many of those have been vaccinated?
More than half.
More than half. Are you aware that on August 1st, 9 days ago, that Mr. Fauci had an interview on CBS Face the Nation in which he said that the level of the virus in the nasopharynx of people who are vaccinated who get breakthrough infections is high and equivalent to the level of virus in an uninfected, unvaccinated person?
I'm aware, I did not watch that interview. I am aware of the research that CDC has recently done that says that the viral loads are the same, yes.
And the next day, Jeffrey Stallman with the CDC data, he was at Columbia University epidemiologist, stated that the central issue is that vaccinated people are probably involved to a substantial extent in the transmission of Delta. And he went on to say that vaccination is now about personal protection, protecting oneself against severe disease. Have you read those reports?
I don't know if I've read that report. But
In other words, the people who were vaccinated with the vaccine were carrying as much of the virus in their nasal cavity as were the unvaccinated people.
if they became ill.
So these people, half of these employees that you have vaccinated that are working in these plants, is it possible they could be transmitting that to the unvaccinated people?
If they become ill. Vaccinated people are much more vulnerable to contracting COVID-19 than vaccinated people are. But yes, theoretically, if a vaccinated person does have a breakthrough case and they're around people without vaccine, those people would be vulnerable. People that are not vaccinated have a much higher vulnerability to contracting COVID-19 than those that are vaccinated. That is why we are in a race to vaccinate the unvaccinated to protect them and slow or stop the spread of the pandemic.
Do you think the approval of the FDA is important?
I think it will be important for a lot of people. The FDA has two approval processes, as I understand, emergency use authorization and full use authorization. And both of those are rigorous processes that they go through.
It normally takes 15 years. Would you agree with that?
Now, I'm not an expert on that, so
That's the normal length of time. But what I'm getting is, in Senator Clark, I appreciate just one more question. You know what happened in 1995? The FDA approved a series of narcotics called opiates, oxycodone, OxyContin, Darvocet, all these, and you know what they told the doctors and what the reasoning was? They said that these are the best pain relievers that we have up to date and that they are non-addictive. Last year, we lost 92,000 people with drug overdoses by drugs that were approved by the FDA and said they were perfectly safe and non-addictive. Those are just the numbers that we know of. We have watched families wiped out by FDA-approved drugs. We have here a drug that is an experimental drug. It takes 15 years or longer to do the human trials, let alone the animal. That's after the animal trials, which they really put on hold on this vaccine. And I have some more questions later. I'll come back, Chairman Clark. So
Thank you, Senator Stubblefield. Representative Ferguson, and then we'll go